when did you realize that you wanted to be a contractor? When was like that first kind of thing for you?
Like, I feel like there wasn't really a moment. It was more of a gradual transition. And then I finally just, kind of realized, I'm in this and I have to keep it going. But I'll kind of take you back like to the beginning or early phases, and then I'll tell you how I kind of transitioned. So I went to college in Montana for about 2 years. I went for architecture, which sounded cool at the time, but found out that college just really wasn't for me. So when I moved back here, I was jobless. And one of my friends, his dad was a contractor, and he was like, "Hey, man, just come work with us for a little bit and see how you like it." So I was like, "Cool, I need the money. Let's just get into it." I didn't like that stuff at the time. I mean, it's not like I was super into landscaping or contracting. I just needed the money. So that's where it started. Um, I worked with him for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And then I started not getting paid well enough, not getting paid on time. So, the contractor world, you know how it goes. But so I was kind of in a pickle. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this thing on my own. I've built up some experience and I'm going to just run with it and see how it goes. So what I basically did was me and another buddy that were working with the same contractor at the time, we were having those same money problems. We got together and we formulated this company called M&H, Mollenhauer and Harris. I'm the Harris section of that. And we kind of just were knocking door to door, finding jobs like that. We found a few jobs and it was all going well for a couple months. But as most, small businesses start out, it didn't go well after the first few months. So after that first few months, he left and I kind of just ran on my own. I really had nothing to lose. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try to go for it. And I started getting more and more work, started getting more jobs. I started building that brand up a little bit. And, after a while, I just kind of figured I've been doing this for 2, 3 years now. I'm kind of in it. Like there's really no going back. So once I started, actually doing the stuff in the field and running the business and starting all this stuff up, it was like every single item on the wish list of starting that business, every time I, attacked a goal or something like that, it all just built up to this pyramid of like, now I'm at the top of the pyramid. I can't get back down. So I just have to keep on going.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel like that's every entrepreneur's story. You kind of realize, well, first you realize college isn't for you, right? You realize that
So I guess
you're
to,
not
to
wired
answer
that
your
way.
question in a long story short, it was more like I was in it and now I have to stay.
Gosh, I'm not sure if it's my Wi-Fi or it might be yours. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. You cut off at the pyramid part. You were talking about you get to the top of the pyramid and then you're like you don't know what to do after that. You're already too deep in, right?
Exactly. I was already built up to that point and there was no walking back down the pyramid. So I just had to keep going. So that's when I really knew I was in it, when I had all the business set up, when I was getting jobs and there was no other option besides just to keep this thing rolling and start growing. So
100%. So walk me through how you kind of built that pyramid. So obviously you start off with the small jobs. Did you start off with landscaping? Did you gradually go into, did you just go straight into hardscaping, like, and then eventually like the outdoor living projects? What was that? What was that kind of like that gradual kind of build up?
yeah, so I guess I mean with most, contractors these days, they always start small. I hear a lot of people that start with mowing lawns. I did the same thing. For me, it wasn't mowing lawns, but it was more of the smaller stuff like installing sod, doing flower beds, mulch, all the simple stuff. The stuff that everybody can do in the industry. And then I started, getting more clients that wanted more stuff done, like pavers, walls, and stuff like that. And I wasn't too confident in it, so I, binged a bunch of YouTube videos, wrote a bunch of stuff down, made sure I kind of knew what I was talking about before I went to the estimate. And I'm pretty sure my first paver job, we were just talking about this the other day, actually. I'll tell you a little bit about it. So, my first paver job was probably a year into business. And at the time, I didn't even know what a plate compactor was. I mean, I was using a jumping jack for a compactor. And, that just goes to show everybody starts somewhere. So, yeah, it started out sod, flower beds, a little bit of maintenance here and there. And then it gradually worked up to those pavers. Then I started doing retaining walls, more and more complicated stuff like fire pits, seating benches, stuff like that. But it was definitely gradual. I did not just jump right into it. Probably over a course of 4 years, I kind of lived and learned the hard times of how to do this and how to do that. but eventually I was able to kind of comprise that portfolio and build up something to where nowadays I can go in and say, hey, I can design and build your whole entire front and backyard.
Hmm. Hell yeah. And so how did you get into the design part of it? You obviously everyone starts with the retaining walls and things like that. Did you teach yourself how to use the software and do it yourself? YouTube videos? Like how was that process like?
Yeah, so I guess one of the main problems that I was struggling with early on in business is presenting my ideas to the client. And so I had all these cool ideas in my head, and when they came out of my mouth, the client was like, "What the heck are you talking about?" Like, like you propose this like awesome retaining wall or awesome fire pit seating area, and they're like, "What do you mean? Like, what does this even mean?" So I had to find a way to visualize that and put it into design so that I can show the client what I mean, because I want to take my brand in a direction that's not very typical. So it's not just, concrete, sod, lights, plants. I want to do something cool with the design. So I had to find a program that worked for me. I'm using Structure Studios right now. And pretty much the only reason I got that is because it's so freaking easy to use. So, I mean, I just basically taught myself YouTube videos. They have a bunch of videos on their website. It took me like about a month to learn it. And once I learned that, I think that was a game changer, because then I can present all these cool ideas to the client that they normally wouldn't get from other contractors. So they were more inclined to choose me over, Joe in a truck.
Yeah, no, 100%. The presentation's everything, and you're able to visualize it. I mean, homeowners, it's all visual. I mean, at the end of the day, they want to see what before and after is going to look like and everything. So walk me through what was like the first big like project, the first like whole like front yard, backyard project where you got to present the design. What was that project like? The challenges and everything you kind of went through.
Yeah, so I actually remember that project very well, because I think everything on that project was new to me. So, and I think that was my first, I present the design to a client, then they liked that design, then we went into the construction phase. That was kind of my first design that I sold, quote unquote. And I remember it was a giant retaining wall. We did custom color stained concrete. It was like a cobalt blue. We did a fire pit seating area. We did the fire pit, we did grass, we did a huge hillside, all planted. I mean, I think it turned out to be maybe like $100,000 job. And I was used to that, you know, uh, 10 to 20 range at the moment, just doing like backyard patios and grass. I'm in it. Now I have to figure this shit out. And I did. So, I mean, everything on that project was pretty much through YouTube videos and calling people up saying, "Hey, how do you do this? Like, how do I do the base on this wall? Like, whatever." But we figured it out. And I mean, there was a lot of trials and tribulations on that job. I remember we built the retaining wall, and then half of it fell down, and we realized we couldn't stack a bunch of them up and, we had to backfill the same time we stacked the blocks up. It was just a learning curve for us, like we didn't know these things until we actually got up on the job and did them. And, at the end of the day, we did the job right, but it just took a few tries to actually, go through all those steps and make everything good. So
Yeah, no, 100%. I can relate to that. Like I mean, I think that's the entrepreneurial thing. You're learning as you're doing. Like that's pretty much how it is. You fake it till you make it at the end of the day. So
yeah.
that was your first big project. Okay. So walk me through a little bit, because what I'm really interested to hear about is how you built up the Instagram following. And obviously you started off with the door knocking and the referrals. And I'm sure that big project maybe led to other big projects and so on. Walk me through how you started to kind of realize, okay, Instagram is really the way to get leads. Like how did you go from that kind of referrals to like building up that social media kind of following there?
Sure. So I guess back in 2021, I believe, I started to post on Instagram. I was not consistent at all. I was just kind of posting my pictures as a form of like, having a website or a portfolio there so that I could take that to the job site and show the clients like, hey, this is what I'm capable of. And so that's where it started, just posting pictures, just having some sort of a portfolio. And one of my buddies reached out to me, another contractor buddy, eventually, and he was like, "Hey, dude, like your Instagram kind of sucks. You need to start posting reels and stuff." And I was like, "What is a reel?" So that's kind of where it all started, where somebody just reached out and was like, "Hey, you need to start posting more." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't really understand Instagram. I was just like, "I'm gonna do it because maybe it'll be fun." I was not expecting any sort of a return on it. I was not expecting to blow up or anything like that. It was just kind of, let's just make this fun and see where it goes. And so I started posting reels on Instagram. I believe I was about at like 600 followers at the time. So, just like the normal account nowadays. And I got my first lead when I was at 600 followers. And I was like, whoa, like that's weird. How did I get a lead? And I only have 600 followers on Instagram. I thought that was crazy at the time. But that's the moment in my head where it clicked. I was like, I don't need a million followers to get work off of Instagram. I can have, 600, 700 followers and still get these leads. And that first job on Instagram opened me up to a gateway in a community where I'm still working at today. I mean, I'm still working on houses in the same street 2 years, 3 years later, and just because of Instagram. So that's where it started. And then, from there, I started posting every day. I was obsessed at that point because I was like, if I can if I can get leads with this many followers, what happens when I have X amount of followers? So I was like, I just got to go crazy on this thing. So I started posting every single day consistently, and I was probably posting every day, maybe twice a day for probably a year until something actually happened. But that's how it started on Instagram.
Hmm. Well, again, that first lead must have been like, holy crap, like this is actually it type of thing. So you started off doing the reels, the leads started pouring in. When did you realize, okay, this type of content I should post? Like, because obviously there's content that is great on Instagram, there's content that really gets the engagement and so on. When did you start to kind of like crack the code a little bit with your reels?
So I realized later in the game, unfortunately, I had to go through all these different tests and trials and stuff to actually figure out what worked. But I realized later that, on Instagram, so many contractors are just posting reels to show off their work. And I think the key is that you have to post to entertain and also show off your work. So, for me in the beginning, it was just me making transitions on, a sod install or concrete or something like that, just, to show off what I'm capable of. But in the end, I realized that you really need to start to entertain people instead of showing off. So, because a client's not going to say, oh, wow, he used this type of concrete, or wow, he used, this type of thing. They're going to be like, wow, that's a cool video. Right. So it started to click maybe a year in, and I started to actually focus on entertaining rather than just showing off my work. So it turned from transitional videos all the way into, cool drone shots and, walkthrough videos and how to do this, how to do that. It was more about the entertaining factor, and that kind of draws people into my profile, and then I can take leads from there.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the whole thing with social media, right? It's got to be engaging. It's got to be something that you want to watch. It's got to be something that's entertaining at the end of the day. I like that. Something that's not just showing off your work, but entertaining. I think that's a mindset shift for a lot of different contractors. So
Yeah.
you're posting reels. Walk me through like a lot of the different. You said you use drones. Do you use your iPhone to record? What are the tools that you use? Do you have a photographer that you hired? Like, walk me through the tools that come into kind of creating this content.
So I'm a one-man show. I don't have any like content crew or editors on the back end. I do all the editing myself. And when I was starting to get into it, I was really into it. So I started buying like some equipment like drones, and I started buying cool cameras and cool GoPros. But at the end of the day, man, like I'm using the iPhone 99% of the time, and that's it. I have my iPhone out. I click the video, and then later when I'm at home, I just sit on that editor app CapCut, the free one, and I just edit the video. So free app to edit. Everybody's got a phone. I mean, for me, it's like the cheapest way you can just get your reel to Instagram is the better. Because I mean, Instagram's kind of about that, or for me anyway, it's about that free advertising aspect. And so if you can make the video for free, edit the video for free, post it for free, and still get a lead, that's a win for me. So I mean, yes, I have all the fancy equipment like drones, cameras, and stuff, but 99% of the time, it's all with the free stuff.
Mm. Wow, yeah, no, that's huge. Yeah, I mean, a lot of some of the contractors I talk to, that they'll have like some videographer or whatever, someone recording content. Or I do see a lot of drone shots and stuff. But you're the one man show. You're the one editing it, doing all that. So how much time does that take? How much time does that take on a weekly basis to shoot it, record it, post it, put all the hashtags, put the caption? Is this something that takes you a long time throughout the week?
I would say per reel, I'm spending maybe about 5 to 10 minutes on the job site filming it, and
Mhm.
then probably 15 to 20 minutes editing and posting it. So let's just say average 30 minutes per reel. But sometimes I can bust out a 5 minute reel and post it, and it'll do better than the one I spent an hour on, you know? So it's really just random on Instagram, but you can bust out a reel in 10, 15 minutes and make it a good one. It's just about knowing your tools and knowing how to use your tools. So
Yeah, no, 100%. So how do you come up with the content ideas? How do you come up with these transitions? How do you come up with, okay, this is the angle I want to do this way? Is it trial and error? Like how do you, what's the thought process behind it?
yeah, what's funny is before any job site starts, the client probably thinks I'm crazy because I'm out there in their yard going like this and going like all crazy over their yard. I probably make like 20 or 25 different transitions. And then after the fact, I only pick like one or two out of those transitions to use. So like I do a lot of preparation before we start the job, making sure that I'm getting all the angles and getting all the, weird phone flip transitions and putting my hand in front of the camera. Like I do all of that and then I'll just pick it later. But the ideas are kind of random. I mean, if I have an idea on the job site, I'll tell all my guys to just stop for like 5 minutes and let me record. So it is really random, but scrolling through Instagram too and starting to become a consumer of content is also pretty important. Also, although it is addictive and it's not very good for the mental health, it's good to be a consumer as well because then you can learn about what other people are watching and what you're interested in. Because if I sit there and I'm scrolling and then I find a video and I watch through it once or twice, I'm like, maybe there's something about this video that actually works. So I analyze that video, maybe post something that's similar to that, use the same audio, use the same transition, something like that, just to make my videos more interesting. So I'm learning through other people's videos and also trying stuff new.
Hmm. Yeah, no, definitely no need to recreate the wheel sometimes. Just see what's working and kind of take from there. So let
Exactly.
let let's say somebody DMs you on Instagram. How do you get them through that process of actually like closing them, getting the design? I mean, because someone can DM on Instagram, but then maybe they're not qualified, or maybe they're like maybe they're just a tire kicker, or maybe the contractor doesn't have like the skills to like actually like close them and sell them. What's like your process when they actually do DM you?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing that I tell everybody is just learn about your client. So I spend maybe 10, 15 about their job, seeing what they want, their wish list, their timeline, what their backyard looks like now, what they don't like about their backyard, what they want to do in their backyard later, and then we start introducing that price. So we'll start talking about what their budget is, their budget constraints. A lot of people say they don't have a budget, but I squeeze it out of them anyway because that's the most important thing for me is like finding out how much money I have to work with so that I can create something that works for them within their budget. Because when I go into the design phase, I don't want to create something that's totally not doable. You know what I mean? So finding out their top of the line budget super important. Talking about that sooner rather than later is always good. So on Instagram, I'm messaging them saying like, "Hey, what portion of your budget do you want to spend on your side yard, or how much do you want to spend on the entire backyard?" Stuff like that. We really get into detail before I sell them anything because I want to know if one, I'm a good fit for them, and two, if they're a good fit for me. Right. So I'm really pre-qualifying them in that sense and just taking the time to learn about them and chat back and forth.
Okay, so lots of. Do you ever go on the phone with them, or you chat in the DMs first and then get on the phone, or is it just kind of different every time?
It's different for every person. I would say if they're very responsive via text and they're just sitting there messaging me back and forth, I'll stay via text. If it takes them a little longer to respond, I'll give them a call. And if it takes them long to pick up the phone, I'll schedule an appointment and go out there. So it's really catering to each client individually, but I'll do whatever I can to make the sale. So if they're not responsive through text or call, I'll just go out there.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I gotta be aggressive with the sales.
Yeah.
That's definitely one thing. So as far as the pre-qualifying questions, because I feel like that's something that at least some of the contractors they don't have like a set. I don't know if you have a set amount of questions that you ask either, but are there like two or three questions that you always ask right off the bat?
Yep, I have 5 questions that I always ask. I literally copy and paste them in my notes. I ask for their address so that I know where they are, and I
Mhm.
can Google them so I can Google their house. I ask for a wish list. I ask for a timeline. I ask for a construction budget, And then I ask for any sort of Pinterest or pictures or anything that they want their backyard to look like.
That's really good. Having those like
Yeah.
that creates makes the sale a lot more easier when you have all the information and qualifies them right
Yeah.
off the bat. Because I'm sure after like question one or two, you're like, oh, you don't have the budget. Or after question, maybe they don't even have a Pinterest or anything, any ideas of what they want. That's kind of a red flag too. Are
Yeah, I
there
mean, and one of the big things too is, if they're coming into the project and they have this wish list that you can't do. I mean, sometimes it's like, I think the wish list and the budget part kind of go hand in hand with whether I'm qualifying them or they're qualifying me. So like for the wish list part, it's almost like they're qualifying me, because if they have a wish list that I can't even do, then I'm just going to tell them straight up like, hey, I don't do, you know, crazy cantilever pergolas or something like that, or I don't do pools that have like this crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like there's some stuff that I just don't do. And that's kind of a question to qualify me to make sure I'm the right fit. And then the budget kind of goes reverse to where I'm qualifying them to see if they have enough money to work with me.
100%? No, and that builds up trust when you're transparent with them. Hey, like we're just not the right fit. I can recommend you to another contractor or whatever. Yeah, those are really good questions to ask. I'm definitely going to tell some of my partners. I really like the wish list one, because that just makes it really straightforward. They're able to just like say whatever they want.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm a contractor, right? I'm starting off from zero. I create an Instagram. I don't have any money to spend on ads. What would be your advice to somebody just starting off the Instagram? They want to start posting reels and getting leads from Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I would say don't spend money on Instagram ads. I've tried it once before and it didn't work. I don't spend any money on Instagram ads to this day, just because I didn't see any difference. All my content that wasn't pushed out was far greater than the one that I did push out. So I'd say ads on Instagram are useless. So free content wise, I would just stay on the consistency. So, posting one reel a day, posting on your stories, making sure that you're consistent so that when somebody goes on your page, there's actually posts there. Because, one of the things that I look for when I'm looking for work on Instagram, I look for a lot of other contractors, like electrical contractors, pool contractors. And I'm looking through their profile. And if they're not active or they haven't shown signs of posts in the last like week, I don't really feel inclined to message them, because I feel like they're not even going to get back to me anyway, right? So I would say to do every day.
Consistency every day. Yeah,
Every day.
that's that. And the Instagram algorithm looks at that. It looks at people that are also posting every single day, and it'll shoot it out to more people. And really, it's just kind of domino effect. You're just posting, and eventually, one of those posts will go viral. What was there like one post for you that went viral that kind of like blew you up?
I would say there's been a lot that's blown me up, but I think the one that first I was like, holy crap, this one's actually like taken off, is probably the stupidest reel that I've ever posted on my page. And it's very far back there because I just feel like I don't want to post it again. But basically, I'm posting all these cool transition videos, spending so much time on the editing part and like posting them. And then I post this one video on the job site where we set up the compactor to go in a circle, and we have it like attached to the string in the middle. You know how people do that with lawnmowers, where they
Yeah.
like just attach it to a string and it just goes? Well, we did that with a compactor, and I just filmed that. One of my guys was just like sitting on a lawn chair watching it go, and I filmed that, and it took off. And that was and at the time I was like, oh man, like this is obviously not the one I want to take off, because I want people to know how good I am at my job, not how good I am at making funny reels. So that was kind of a bummer for me at the time, but now looking back, it's like that's what people want to see. They want to see funny, entertaining stuff rather than, like I said before, just showing off your work. There could be a combination of the two. And if people go on your page, obviously you have to show off something. But the main factor is just entertainment on Instagram.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, nobody's popping up Instagram and be like, all right, let me see what I want to build in my backyard today. No, they're looking for like funny dog videos or stupid memes or whatever. And then your
Right.
thing pops up, and then they like it, and then they follow you. And then next thing you know, they're getting a bunch of like funny or satisfying. I realized one thing as well is the satisfying videos. Like I'll find myself like looking at people pouring concrete and just like smoothing it over. And that's one thing I'm like I'll watch that for hours. I don't know if you've seen any people posting or even done that yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. The retention span of people needs you need to engage people and make them watch the whole entire reel. So I mean, one of the things that I do, or one of the tricks, is like if I have nothing exciting to film on the job site, just set your GoPro or your camera up and do a time lapse. Because normally, if you do a time lapse of anything, start to finish, it's going to be satisfying. So whether we're laying pavers, doing concrete, or even getting out base from a trailer. I mean, one of my most successful reels is me just unloading a trailer with base. That's such a boring task, but if you just make a time lapse out of it and make it interesting, you can convert people to be like, wow, that's so cool, and watch the whole thing through. So
That's a really good trick. That's gold right there. That's a nugget. So you've built up the huge Instagram following and everything, and I was following your story and I saw you started a mastermind, right? The Dirt Mastermind.
I'm trying, yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of at that phase now where I feel like I do have a decent amount of knowledge, and I really want to help people through their journey as well.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm the best in the industry by all means, but I do have some knowledge to get you from point A to point B, whether that's from the ground to point A or from, point A to point C. But I have some information that I feel like other people don't know. So I have a group that I started, and people can join and gain knowledge from each other. And we're having weekly Zoom meetings right now, learning about everything from design to, landing the client and doing the job.
That's exciting stuff. So you guys meet on a weekly basis, and what's the format like?
So it's like a classroom format. So basically, there's a chat program in the website. So we have like daily chats every other day. We're kind of on there chatting, kind of like a group text message with all the members in there, and we're talking about stuff like business, all the way from deep dives into job site analysis and cost analysis, stuff like that, all the way to simple stuff like, hey, what do I tell my employee when he's slacking off at work or something like that. And then we do the weekly Zoom meeting. So I'll post the Zoom link in the chat. Everybody will get on, and it's kind of like an open conversation. And I don't really want to act like a teacher on that Zoom call. I kind of want to act like a moderator, to where, I'm moderating the topics, taking them through the design process or whatever we're talking about in that meeting. And then everybody can kind of butt in and say what they want to say, so that we can all take something from each other and take at least one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really creating that community, right? And creating that organic.
I'm trying to.
That's awesome. And so is it open to everyone? Is it invite only? Like how can people get connected?
Right now it's invite only. So I'm only, inviting the people that message me about it and want to join. The only reason I'm doing that is to try to keep it a little bit more private and small. I don't want to let everybody in there, because there's some people that just want to go in there, learn stuff, not contribute, and I want people that are actually going to learn from each other, and contribute to the group. So I kind of just ask them like, hey, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to get out of the group? And if it's a good fit, I'll let them in the group. If it doesn't really seem like they're a good fit for the group, I'll just tell them, hey man, this probably isn't a good route for you. Like I've had a few people message me from different industries, that want to get in the group, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of like a landscape construction group. I don't think you're going to benefit, and especially, I don't want to just take people's money either. It is $100 a month to join the group, so I don't want to take people's money just so they can get in the group. I want to make sure they're actually benefiting from it. So I guess I'm making sure that I'm providing the most value that I can in the group, and that's why I'm kind of making it private.
No, 100%. And yeah, you really want to build that good foundation and be surrounded by like-minded people at the end of the day. I mean, iron sharpens iron. And if somebody's just there, just kind of leeching off everyone else, that's not the best look for the mastermind. So that's awesome. So you're really trying to kind of give back and really trying to give back your knowledge and everything. Are there any other specific topics that you're covering inside the mastermind?
There's going to be one every week. So we're doing a new one every week. We've done a couple so far. This last one we did with design. So, people that don't know about design programs or want to get into the design aspect of construction, I basically just took them on a whole tutorial of how I work my program. And then we answered questions such as like, how do I sell a design, all the way to like how I implement the design on the project. And What are my prices like? How do you price structure the quote based on the design? How do you design within a budget? Those are the kind of the topics that we talked about on the last meeting. But I mean, we're going to talk about everything business. That was just kind of one of the topics.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So one thing that I'm hearing from a lot of contractors, and I feel like this is just like every contractor's biggest pain point, is finding labor. So I've been asking pretty much every contractor I've ever podcast with, how do you find labor? How do you like interview them? How do you hire? Like, what does that process look like for you? And how do you find good guys?
Yeah, dude, labor is probably the hardest part of business because that's the one thing that I can't control. I can't control a human. I can control them the best that I can by setting guidelines and morals and, trying to teach them properly. But, if you let them out on their own on the job site, it's like that's the one thing you can't really control is the labor portion. So that's the hardest part. And finding good labor is hard too. I mean, I've had my foreman since the beginning of my company, and that was kind of just a unicorn that I had early on, is just keeping that bond between us and paying him well. But I feel like the key is finding good people and paying them well. And I think paying them well is the key part here because a lot of people are really great or can be really great at what they do, but they're not going to be the best if you don't pay them well. So if I'm paying my foreman minimum wage, he's not going to be as inclined to do a good job as if I'm paying him, $35-$40 an hour, because it's like he's not excited to show up and be there and contribute to the company. But if he can see that he's growing and there's a goal to get to, then it's a lot better. So creating like a good environment within your workplace and paying them well, I think is key. So it's a lot on you as a business owner and as a contractor to hire good people and pay them well. So I would say the majority of the responsibility of finding good people is on you and not the people that you find. It's
Hmm,
about treating them right.
that's good. Yeah, that's a good perspective at the end of the day. Um, so that I think that pretty much those kind of covers up most of my questions. Is there anything else you wanted to leave the people with about MHLandCo?
Dude, I would just say, we all start somewhere, and sometimes we have longer journeys than others. I feel like I had a longer journey in the beginning, but I'm sure there's people that have even longer journeys than me. So I would say, there's going to be a time and a place for you. So just keep pushing and make sure that you conquer all your goals and push past whatever limitations that you're dealing